Keith Smith got sentenced to 65 years when he's charged with the murder of his friend who was 16 at the time. So he breaking into the house. Allegedly, his friend brandished a gun, brandished a weapon, and police killed him. No charges were brought against the police, but Keith was charged with the death of his friend. This sounds, remarkably similar to the swatting incident that happened. I can't remember, that was early this year, or late last year, where somebody called the police, the SWAT team, to a particular person's house, and the police pulled up at the door, killed them, and then they're charging the guy who called them with this stuff. I don't know, are the police unable to make decisions on their own behalf? Are they not individuals anymore? Are they like RoboCop, just pull up and shoot? I don't know. I don't understand. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm still trying to figure it out. So you got the issue of Keith Smith, who charged the murder of someone else, murder that he did not commit, literally did not do. But under Alabama law, he can be charged with murder of his friend that was killed by the police. How does that make sense? So when I have an argument with people about the laws being unjust, this is what I'm talking about. The law is created to shield the police from my understanding, from any fault or being held liable by putting these people's the whole sentence on the kid who was involved. So if they kill one of my friends and I was there, I'm gonna get charged with murder. Like, in what ass backwards, sideways, upside down world does that make sense? That's America though. That's America though. So when we have a conversation about gun violence, are we talking about that? Are we talking about the laws that condone that make that possible? Is that what we're talking about when we talk about gun violence? I haven't heard just a fully rounded, explorative conversation about how far our understanding of gun violence stretches. Because this is what happened. This is what happened to a young kid who was involved in a situation. If the reports are right, that it would have been better had he not been in. He lost a friend. And to deal with the grief of losing a friend, you charged with it because you were there. Is this an effort to make better laws to limit this type of behavior from happening? Or limit people from engaging in crimes? Or is it something to protect the police? That's something a question I would like to struggle with, a question I'm curious to know the answer to. I do know something about some of these Southern laws. And a lot of them, the inception had a lot to do with people that look like me. I can't say if that's the case for this situation, but I do know that is present a lot of times. So I feel like I'm in a position where I'm gonna watch this slow, or not even slow, just the continued apathy when white people see systems that are corrupt and things happen that are, inappropriate and unjust, and they say, oh, well, what can you do? What can you do? That's the thing that's spread out there. So it's remarkable that we can continue to have these conversations about, well, what can white people do when laws like this exist on the books, and white people will continue to defend it by way of the notion of criminality. Because if I attach to you the concept that you are a criminal, I do not have to change the laws if they're unjust, because your life is less worthy than mine. They use that to capture black people, in this particular situation, a black man in the cycle of the prison industrial complex. Well, maybe I can't, on paper, on face value, maybe I can't say I don't like you because you're black, but I can say I would not fuck with you because you have a felony or because you are a criminal. By way of the criminality, now I can charge you with being dangerous and violent, even though before, when you were simply just a black person on the street, I still see you in the same way. I can transpose those feelings onto another subject, so to speak. I can put you behind bars for, not because of this, but because of that. And I can make all your ways of being rehabilitated or reintegrated into the community. I can limit those because now you have the label of being a criminal. But it's not because you're black, though. I don't have any problem with black people. I don't have a racist bone in my body anywhere. Can X-ray me. There's no racist bones. That's what they do. That's how they do it. They flip the terms and they change them and they pull one thing onto another thing. And now suddenly you're talking about criminality instead of talking about skin color or race. You're suddenly talking about that. The same thing has happened, if we can extend that conversation a little bit, same thing has happened with the way we dress. I don't have a problem with black people. I just don't like big hoop earrings and sagging pants. I think it's demoralizing to our society. I think it's horrible. It's a travesty. I remember when people were really going hard about sagging pants. I was a little younger. When I used to sag, and it was just into it. It was just hot thing to do. And I remember at the same time, low-riding jeans was out. That was hot. It's like when girls or women would wear like the waist level jeans, and your ass crack would be showing, like literally. And I was like, what is? But if they say sagging is wrong because you see a part of our like skin, like I'm looking at people's like the body, their butt cracks all the time. Like nobody's incensed about that. Nobody thinks that that's demoralizing and dehumanizing. And then I struggle with it. And I was like, what? Why is that? It's just the same thing with how we speak though. Well, I can say use slang and talk this way and that way and say a whole bunch of stuff. You never know what it means. And people will say, white people, the white, the westernized view will say, well, that way of speaking is uncivilized. I don't have a problem with black people. I just like people using proper standard English, standard English vernacular, not any of that Afro-American ebonics bullshit. That's what they say. But it's always a trick in the game to really to pull out one idea and then hold it in a place where you cannot be charged with being hateful or racist for having that idea. So it's always a step removed from you, and now it's not in vogue to say you dislike black people because of the way they talk, the way they dress, or the way they live, or their culture, or any of these other things, or simply because they're black. You say, well, I don't, not that. It's just this thing that just also treats you in a very similar way that I cannot remove from you because it just feels this. And then when the laws are unfairly balanced, all of the white allies that care so much, they don't go down to the office, to the government offices and throw a fit. They just don't do it. They just don't do it. Man, I'll probably count on maybe I might know, like in terms of like close to me, maybe 10 good like white activists who are about the things that they say they're about. And it's not a thing about white people, it's about white culture and what it encourages and what it promotes. This is what it does. What we get used to on a day-to-day basis, the things that we are encouraged to digest, the things that we're encouraged to deal with, the things that we're encouraged to accept. What is it that you accept? And you say that, well, I'm not like everybody else. I'm a little different, I would never, bro. You ever, but people come to me, bro, if you ever need something, I got you. Really? Thinking about, all the things that white people do. We can talk about it all day. But segueing into the next topic I get into after the break, for me, because I always talk a lot about intersectionality, for me and the identity I have being a black man, there's things that black men have to do and things that black men have to work on with our levels of homophobia and transphobia and fragile masculinity and hypermasculinity, all these things that have been glorified by white media. And, so I was able to come together with another group of black men, and we were able to create an organization and do something about it. So on the other side, I'm going to tell you all about it. I'll see y'all in a little bit.
Yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key at Onyx, find a rider. When I'm pulling up right beside you, pop star Lil Mariah. When I take kick game wireless, throw a stack on the Bible. Never Snapchat or took Molly. She fall through plenty, her and all her guineas. Yeah, we at the top floor, right there off Duini. Yeah, oh no, I can't fuck with y'all. Yeah, when I'm with my squad, I cannot do no wrong. Yeah, saucemen in the city, don't get misinformed. Yeah, they gon' pull up on you. Yeah, we gon' do some things you can't relate. Yeah, cause we from a place you cannot stay. Or you can't go, or I don't know. Or back the fuck up off me. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time.
I wanna press my line, yeah. I wanna press my. I wanna green like I wanna be like I wanna press my line, yeah. I wanna take that ride, yeah. I'm gonna press my line. I wanna green like I wanna be like I wanna press my. Mama dear, spare your feelings. I'm reliving moments, feeling more residual. I can buy the building, burn the building, take your bitch, rebuild the building just to fuck some more. I can justify my love for you and touch the sky, forgot to stop the dating wall.
Put the pussy on the pedestal, put the pussy on the high horse. That pussy to die for, that pussy to die for.
He the piper, pick the peppers. I can pick your brain and put your heart together. We depart the shady parts and party hard. The diamond yours, the cool forever. My best shot just might shoot forever like.
I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. You come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time.
Yo, back again. Those I was about to do those radio segues. Goosebumps. Travis Scott. You know, y'all wanted to tell y'all about. So I was saying before the break, I was really, for a period of time, I was really struggling with how to be engaged and involved and do something as it pertains to how black men need to do their own work. When I was reading all the stuff that came from the hashtag Me Too, And I struggle a lot with it. You know, even I still do struggle with it, trying to figure out, you know, how to do better and do right by our people and how we are with black women and folks with black fam. So I was thinking, you know, I never seen a group of, you know, black men who are you know, gay, you know, or queer, or straight, trans. I've never seen that type of group of people come together to talk about black maleness. I've never seen that. And I was like, you know what, shit, let's you know, make one. So what I was able to do with a couple of other black men who's created a group called B Men. That, you know, the B standing for black, obviously, or not so obviously, but the group is there for, you know, for black men to deal with the issues that are going on in our community, particularly, you know, our own stuff. You know, it's so frustrating to have everybody talk about black men, but black men. You know, there's certain black men being fragile, black men in their egos, black men. Like, we're always kind of reacting to other people's comments about us, or letting other people lead the comments about us. And, you know, part of that being black women doing the emotional work. And I was like, man, we can lead those conversations ourselves and be vulnerable at the same time. Because when you talk about groups of black men, you're talking about typically, you know, straight black men, and if they are openly gay black men, they don't know how to have a narrative about men being gay black, or men being trans, or black men particularly. They don't know how, and are not really looking into it. It's just like, oh yeah, just black men, all the other stuff is just extra categories. But, you know, I was able to come to with you know, and create a group called B Men, and it has a website called bmanfoundation.com. Check that out, or .org. I mean, I don't know if I'm forgetting, but to come together and create something like that, you know, when I talk about intersectionality, I think we all have a duty to be better to people who don't share our identity by working within ourselves and within those groups that we have affinity with, or maybe we identify the most strongly with, to really, how do we contribute to our community? So thinking about ways that black men can contribute to our community. Particularly, how can we do work internally about our own difficulties with masculinity, you know, our own approaches to identity, dealing with homophobia and transphobia, and dealing with, you know, some of the issues related to just white supremacy as a whole, and how the focus that gets put on us and how we deal with that. You know, black men, or we kind of step into this thing where we expect it to be strong all the time, you know, or we at least want to appear strong. And with that has come this like seeping thing about that's like really homophobic, and like, well, like weakness means like, oh, you gay or something like that, or this, that. And it's just like, well, what about the parts of us that people who are gay? And like, they're not weak, because that doesn't make any sense. So really re-examining what it means to be black men, and having space to mentor other black men, without that being centered in like this like very destructive and marginalizing definitions of what black maleness is. You know, black maleness is all the black men that are, and we have to work within ourselves to figure that out, because so many black men out here have to feel like you got to be hypersexual, hypermasculine, hyper-aggressive, and hide who you are if you don't fit this mold of what it's like to be. And that has caused us to be violent towards, you know, women in our own community. You know, when men are abusive and dominant, it's seen as like, that's how you become just a strong man. You have to have power over somebody. You got to be, you know, exhibiting it in that way. And if you went go too far and didn't mean to, it's just kind of part of what it is. You just accept it. You know, we got to really examine like what makes us and create a narrative for ourselves. Even when I say narrative for ourselves, I mean when you watch TV and you see black men on TV, that's not black men how they exist. Like, we don't create that. We don't write, a lot of times, don't write those scripts. We're not in those production rooms. We're not the heads of those companies. We're not sitting on those boards. So the thing that you get is something that's very entertaining, that feeds into this sensationalizing view of what we're like. And I really believe that for men, coming out of the #MeToo thing, for men to really figure out, you know, what they give and what they offer, we got to deal with ourselves and what it is that we're doing, what our hurts are that we don't want to talk to anyone else about, and how to be with other men. Like, how do we deal with this thing that we do? How do we be better for our community? How do we mentor folks without making it so focused on folks who are straight, like straight black men mentoring straight black men, like black men mentor black men, whatever space you come from. We have to give to our community. We don't have the energy to sit here and just be on some hateful, disparaging, discriminatory shit. It's a tool of white supremacy. People are so quick to say, well, there's people out there who say stuff like this, wild stuff like, well, there were no gay men in Africa, and white supremacy is making folks gay, and just weird stuff. But I feel like what white supremacy is when we discard ourselves in favor of a more representative version of ourselves. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So that's the thing that we take on, because in the community, particularly in the black community, we have to really to be charged with the things that we hold on to, like the patriarchy. We have to deal with that. This idea that only men should lead and should be in control, that comes from different spaces. But I know black communities I've come from has been a matriarchy, and so that struggle causes unnecessary tensions when we're trying to get free. I don't want to have that fight with other black men about black women taking lead. It's just ridiculous. Like, don't want to have that fight with other black men about accepting black men who are gay. I don't want to have to fight with other black men about black folks who are trans. I don't want to have to fight with other black men on some real shit about not dealing with their own traumas, physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, or otherwise. Because there's a lot of black men who've had different types of abuse that they dealt with in silence, and it comes out in all these negative ways. Intersectionality is a major thing for me, and I believe that I always talk about like very pragmatic intersectionality, where not only are you bringing in other views of the world by acknowledging the identities that you hold, you're also making sure you're responsible for the identity that you do hold and what that puts out into the world. So you're taking in, and by acknowledging all the different parts of self that people have, and you're putting out something that's healthy and not discriminatory. And I think that with that, by the model that I am, man, I wish God knows. I wish that white men would come together and say white men against shooting up schools, or white men against violence towards people. I wish they would have a group like that. I ain't seen it yet. I don't know if I ever will see it. But I think that that's their duty. You know what I'm saying? I think that the white women have their own duty. I think every particular demographic of people have their own duty to come together and figure out how to be better for the rest of the world and be better and own your narrative. How do you own your narrative? So one way that, B-Men, the group that I came up with, that we're working on, we're having a discussion series about sexual assault and sexual harassment with black men in the room, telling them this is ways to be better, misconceptions, common errors. Black men come together to talk about masculinity, having a discussion group where we come and talk about what is it, how does it get shaped, and how do we contribute to it or take away from it. Black men come together to have discussions about identity and what determines our identity, and how do we get to this particular point where we see ourselves in this way. Who are we? Black men coming together to talk about the tools of white supremacy. That means black men coming together to talk about the prison industrial complex. Black men coming together to talk about how we don't go and get health checkups regularly. Black men come to talk about our mental health and how we deal with that. And then finally, that culminating in a conference in 2020, with black men coming together and using a combination of all these things to figure out ways to take these skills, learn, and these strategies created. So not only just create other discussion groups with black men in your communities, and small groups, maybe 6, 10, 3, or 4, where you're having these deep, radical conversations, but really taking folks and mentoring them into the growing black men that they will be. And mentoring folks without homophobia. So it's such, with hypermasculinity, it becomes a very strong view of homophobia, it's a fear of being gay and looking gay, and it's just ridiculous, and it just permeates parts of our community. And you know, there's definitely, it's not a conversation that black men are bad or that we just destructive or anything like that. It's just a part of us that we have to work on. Because I would love to see a community of black men that's bringing up everybody that's black men. That's just, that doesn't get you know, I don't know how many times I've seen black men extend mentorship to like a young black kid who seems feminine or maybe is likely gay, and it's like, well, he needs to be around more men and he'll be all right. You know, he's not going to be less gay. He likes what he likes, but that mentorship is still needed. And then what happens with those type of situations is that, let's say that kid who is gay or is feminine or whatever view that's left of masculinity that these people feel, when they feel like they aren't being impactful, they leave them. So I want to be able to be a part of something that really takes mentorship and deals it to people, members of our own community, in ways that aren't steeped in ideas about criminality and folks who are formerly incarcerated and trying to deny them access, that isn't steeped in homophobia or transphobia, that has a masculinity strong enough to include folks who don't have the particular look or identity that people feel like is the most revenant, the most representative, and we can really move toward being successful in dealing with things that we deal with as black people. Black people, I think everybody within the black ethnicity, the blackness should find a way to come together to deal with these things. You know, when we first came over here from off the boats, when we got off the boats, they were, you know, they decided who was fit and who were healthy enough to continue the journey, and those who were not were thrown overboard. And then we get all the way over here and we find that, you know, we have slavery, and we can continue to do these things by determining who is the best of us, who have the straightest hair, and who's the most closest to whiteness. And we sit here and try to struggle with that, and we get rid of folks, and we push them over here, we push them over there, and we really replicate the real discriminatory evaluation methods of whiteness, just constantly casting aside black people that we feel aren't good enough. And I don't want to do that. So that's part of my effort to do better in the world. I talk all day about black folks or people in general coming together and owning your part by way of intersectionality, knowing the parts of you that come together and reaching out to something within your realm of physicality, to something you can touch, and changing that, because that's what you can do. This is what I can do for my community to make sure that we're better, and we're doing better, and we're not hateful, and we're not all these negative things. So this is my role, and that we're not sexually assaulting people, and we don't have these hurtful things. With, you know, working with men who have done it and who are working to be better. But what can you say that you're doing the same thing towards your community? Can you know, for people who are white, if you're a white person, can you say you went out and gathered some other white folks in our community and struggled around these difficult conversations around, you know, the whiteness or whatever it is that you need to deal with, whatever part of you is hurting folks, whatever part of your community is the norm. Have you struggled with that? Can you struggle with that? I think that's the test of who we are. It's a major test of who we are. Is are you willing to struggle with that? Are you willing to ask the questions that require you to change in order to be comfortable? Ask those questions. That's the questions that I had about how black men contribute to the culture of Me Too and rape culture led me to creating a group called Be Men. But what is it that you're gonna do? What is it you're gonna do? I don't know. But you know, we're gonna take another break. And on the other side, we'll talk about, you know, a couple of topics. I'll talk about Patrice Concolor's book and what resonated with me. And then we'll kind of look to wrap it up, you know, come towards the end. So I'll see y'all in a little bit.
Yeah. Clearing up for you. All right. Yeah. My niggas look mad. Y'all supposed to be happy on screen. Y'all niggas look like y'all wanted me to stay in jail. So busters. Picture me rolling in my 500 Benz. I
got no love for these niggas. There's no need to be friends. They got me under surveillance. I swear somebody can tell it. Know this dope being sold, but I ain't the one selling. Don't wanna be another number. I got a proper gang of weed to keep me going under. The federalists wanna see me dead. Niggas put prices on my head. Now I got 2 rock dollars by my bed. I feed them lead. Now I'm released. How will I live? Well, God forgive me for all the dirt a nigga did. To feed kids, one life to live. It's so hard to be positive when niggas shooting at your crib. Mama, I'm still thugging. The world is a war zone. My homies is inmates, and most of them dead grown. Full grown, following your man. Still scheming on ways to put some greed inside the palms of my empty hands. Just picture me rolling, flossing the beans on rims that isn't stolen. My dreams are sensing, my hopes are born. I'm like a fiend that finally sees when the dope is gone. My nerves is weak, heart beating in my hands is swollen. Thinking of the G's I be holding. Picture me rolling. Easy now. Move to the side a little bit so you can get a clear picture. Can't see it. Picture me rolling. Yeah, nigga. Hey, but peep how my nigga Sock do it. Guess who's back?
I got keys coming from overseas. Cost a nigga 200 G's. I'm a street commando, Nino, for example. This lavish lifestyle is hard to handle, so I got the flaws, cause I'm more like a boss player. Thug bred to be a woman layer. So many player haters imitate a steady swinging. Make me wanna start bang banging. So I'm caught up in the game. Dress code change. Packing 40 clocks to tame or rearrange. All that jealousy and envy coming from my enemies. While I'm sipping on Remain, running back Lexus Chevys on the roam. 96 big body sitting on chrome. As we head up out the zone, Stone facing his own. You can admire, but don't look too long. I'm living a dream on triple beams and my pockets bulging. It's hard to imagine. Picture me rolling.
Fuck up in it, formulate a caper. Cause a nigga straight suffering from like I haven't paper. My bitch finna have a bad to see, so I need to hit a lick drastically. I see some bowling ass niggas and they slipping in my spot. And big in the pot, they got a chicken in the pot.
We caught him sleeping, he didn't keep you niggas creeping. It's how we do it every weekend, I dump the man. The time I count the proper CTO, you got the bomb spot, nigga, time to clock it. I get the liquor, and you can get the females. It's crooked shit that we inflict and get street sales.
Move smooth as a motherfucker, me and my knot. I'm cool as a motherfucker, I'ma get mine. Now we're satisfied. Got the pockets on swollen balls hog and this pocket nigga. Picture us a rover.
Y'all ready for me? Picture me rolling roll call. You know some motherfuckers out there I just could not forget about. I wanna make sure they can see me. Number 1 on my list, Clinton Correctional Facilities. All you bitch ass CEOs. Can you niggas see me from there? Ballin' on y'all punk ass. Picture me rolling, baby. Yeah. All the niggas up in them cell blocks. I told y'all niggas when I come home or something. That's right, nigga. Picture me rolling. Oh, I forgot. The DA. Yeah, that bitch had a lot to talk about before. Can the hoe see me from here? Can you see me, hoe? Picture me rolling. And all you punk police, can you see me? Am I clear to you? Picture me rolling, nigga. Legit. Free like OJ all day. Can't stop it. You know I got my niggas up in this motherfucker.
What up, y'all? You know, I was thinking about the book from Audible. That was talking about Patrice Khan's Colors book, When They Call You a Terrorist. Please get it. Please check it out. It's a dope book. It's powerful. A lot of times, you know, people ask, well, how did Black Lives Matter come up? Or I still, honestly, if I'm being 100% right now, like, I don't even know. I feel like I wonder, like, why? Like, I thought there was enough information out there. Why? People still wonder and they still don't know. But I guess people have different paths to get there. And I'm not talking about particularly white folks. I'm talking about anybody who's really trying to figure it out. And then the idea, all this belief that there's no strategy like that, it's just racist. Like it's plain racist. There's no other way to say it, because it's an assumption that black people coming together to organize around something so powerful as police brutality would do it. Would they just came up with a slogan and that was it, And that's not what happened. It's not what's happened. Particularly with so Patrice Concolors is one of the founders of Black Lives Matter with Opal Tometi and Alicia Garza, and she talks about her experience growing up in California and what that was like, and a lot of things that shaped her, and how she got to the Black Lives Matter piece. And if you read the book, you realize that Black Lives Matter is just like a part of it, but it's not even, it doesn't encompass most of the book. There's a whole backstory that comes into what makes this particular person powerful, which I didn't really know. So what you learn from reading in the book is that Patrice has been an activist for a long time, and has been a part of thinking very radically about change for a long time, and has been the very proud and very black for a long time. It's not something she just came into. And not only do you see that with her, you see that with when she talks about the other founders. It was the same thing. They're always doing work. They was doing work for a while, and then people tend to resonate with this particular part of their work. It wasn't the totality of her story. But listening with it, you get a big profile of her brother, and her brother who struggled with mental health and instability. And if you have anybody close to you in your life who has those type of struggles, you know what that's like to have somebody who you're afraid of what the police might do to them. You're afraid of what they might do to themselves. You're that fear about someone else's well-being who can't always be in charge of it the way they want to be. And she talks a lot about her brother and her interactions with him in the legal system, and how the police would treat him, and how all of these fears that she had. And then she also talks about what it's like with being raided and the police showing up, and you having to decide how to engage the police. Because for a lot of us, police aren't this benevolent force who protects you with badges and smiling faces and give your kids ice cream. After school, they're people, they're white men with guns. That's what I see police as, a white man with guns. And I think she talks about all of these different dynamics. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want it to be spoiled. I just want you to check out that book. Add it to all the books that you have that about radical revolutionary politics and people who were part of that. Soul on Ice, Angela Davis's writings on the prison industrial complex. Some of the things about Ta-Nehisi Coates. All of these things. Bayard Rustin, Shirley Chisholm. You add that, put that on your shelf, right next to the book next by Jackie Robinson. All of the black figures that you read about in your life. I think you need to add that to it, because it's powerful. It's powerful, and as being a black man and taking leadership from black women founding it, and then being introduced to Black Lives Matter by black women, and reading the story of a black woman as she made that journey. That's powerful. It resonated with me in deeper ways than I expected it to. Especially the part about having somebody in your life who has illnesses. Like I had that in my life with people that I've been close to, and wondering and being fearful, and incarceration, and knowing that the largest facility for people who have psychiatric disabilities and difficulties is prison. It's prison, and you're not even able to get adequate care there, and the things that they do. It's just a fearful thing. So I really, with that the thing that resonated with me was learning how Black Lives Matter included black folks who had disabilities and mental health difficulties. With that being a part of it, that piece was powerful, because it opens a lens. It tells a story that you don't often hear. The media doesn't think that's sensational enough to talk about black people who are not able to function on the same level as other folks in society. You know, the media sensationalizes the black people who are loud and boisterous and powerful and angry, but those of us who have fragilities that need more care, it doesn't have words for us. And I think that Patrice Concolors, you know, the co-founder of BLM, I think she had amazing words for that. That, you know, that it should move you. You should be moved. So you should check out that book. You know, just kind of summarizing some of the stuff I talked about today and the conversation about gun violence. Remember, there's Cam Tech, I believe, is putting on a gun violence summit, you know, April 13th through the 15th. So tomorrow until Sunday, there's going to be conversation about gun violence. And that's something that I would encourage people to go see, not just because I'm part of it, but, you know, you want to see that too, you know, it'll come through. But I think to see the narrative about gun violence in real time, I think they make this stuff that I'll be talking about real. So you see, like, there's a narrative about who gets to hold guns, and not that it's not a conversation about whether they should exist. It's a conversation about who can have them and what they do with them, and how dangerous will the world be if certain people have guns. Most of those people are dark and look like me. Also having how that thing about violence, and when somebody else is violent, the armed police officer, armed white man sanctioned by the state to shoot and kill somebody with you while you're in the process of allegedly committing a crime, you are charged with that. Not only that, you find out very, very quickly how the violence that is exhibited by white men or structures that white men control is exempt from the notion of gun violence. You know, nobody's ever said anything about the military being violent, and they do it with robots now. With drones, will go drop one on your head, and then the conversation about military violence is nil, because it's seen as justified. It's all about who does it. So there's this kid, Lakeith Smith, I want to say, he's going away for a long time, serving time for a crime he didn't commit. Prisons are obsolete. We need a better way. I'm gonna throw that in there. This is what happens. You know, also, and then stemming from that, a conversation about our own accountability within the spaces that we're in. You know, me starting a foundation, bmenfoundation.org. Check out the website. It's at bmen foundation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Is my way of holding myself, you know, accountable to the work that I believe that we should be doing, not just within Black Lives Matter, you know, on behalf of, you know, black people, you know, all black people, but then as a black man and all black men having a conversation about how we can be better and talking about our vulnerabilities, how we have the propensity as men to have, you know, certain patriarchal powers to commit sexual assault, sexual harassment, and the vulnerabilities that we have when we're talking about times that those things have happened to us, sexual assault and sexual harassment. There's no narrative about that. We don't do that. And thus finding ways to be better towards ourselves so we can be better for our community. That's my way of being responsible for the world that I'm in and how I'm doing stuff. But I encourage everybody to step into their own level of responsibility for themselves. So before I end off, I do want to tell you, for one, check out the Bay State banner. Check it out. I read it. You should read it too. Check out blacklivesmatter.com and all the things that are happening there. In BLM Boston, we have our own website. We have our own email, Boston@blacklivesmatter.com. Also have Facebook, BLM Boston, or at BLM Boston on Facebook. And check out, if you're on YouTube, check out InsightRadioApp.com to see the show. I'm on here on Thursdays, 7 to 8:30. Check that out. Get that in your life. And if you're listening to it on the internet, check out Insight Radio on YouTube. We out here. We out here. I need you to know that. Need you to know that. Get involved and get connected. Also, they have something in here that I think is of particular interest. The Urban Farming Institute 2018. They got the most recent, or the next thing that's coming up is the thing on April 21st. Is high bionutrient production for small places, and they talk about combination methods that can steadily improve crop quality. Because black people, look, we know how to do land. You know, we've been out here doing it, and they have a series, the Urban Farming Institute. Check out the website too. But they have a series of things that are going on throughout the year, such as growing food without a garden, spring foraging, bees 101, and being a beekeeper. So check that out. Check that out. This is all new things coming up in the future. So I just want to tell y'all thank you for listening and really being a part of what we're doing. You didn't have to. As always, Black Lives Matter is doing work to bring forth the vision that the founders have put into place, you know, to not only protect black people from police brutality, but to talk about these principles of, you know, collective value, principles of globalism, black villages, black love, black women, transgender affirming, queer affirming, multi-generational, you know, all of these things, you know, empathy, restorative justice, all of these things coming together to build the type of world that we want to be in, and world that we can be good to each other in. You know, is as Assata Shakur said, it's our duty to fight for freedom. It's our duty to win. We must love, support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And we have nothing to lose but that. So let's work and get to the point where we don't have to talk about this to remind people that this is of value and this is of worth. We're going to talk about, I don't have to remind you about black incarcerated folks or black trans folks or black queer folks or fragile masculinity or patriarchy. I don't have to talk about any of those things because we all are educated in it and working to change the world so that it is something that we see every day. I don't want to have to do that. But as we stand right now, in 2018, I do. And I'm going to be here next week talking about the same shit because this is what we need to know, what we need to discuss. So this is Martin Henson, BLM Boston, pronouns are he, him, his. I'll see y'all next week.
My mind's on a different angle. Wish I could cop that coupe for all my good niggas. I thank you. Good riddance, good business, good grief. What is it when we smoke marijuana for free? Ain't no question about this paper. My mind's on a different angle. Wish I could cop that coupe for all my good niggas. I thank you. Good riddance, good business, good grief. What is it when we smoke marijuana for free? Hey, since a soldier saw the surface, I cracked the canvas and cursed it. Part of me wasn't good enough, but the picture ain't perfect. What is proper in purpose? Leaving families hurting. She don't trust me at all. She put a lock on her purses. Part of me don't deserve you. Pardon, bro, I was nervous, and this is a new beginning. We fly, so come feel the turbulence. Never bow to that serpent. Dream that found out I'm worth it. Short circuit, love lurking, and close curtains, and I'll be that bigger person. If this my see, she nurse it. I stimulate her mind, she challenge me while we rehearse it. Smoking on this weed got me feeling like a wordsmith. In other words, a nigga perfect. No shit, nigga. Ain't no question about this paper. My mind's on a different angle. Wish I could cop that coupe for all my good niggas. I thank you. Good riddance, good business, good grief. What is it when we smoke marijuana for free? Ain't no question about this paper. My mind's on a different angle. Wish I could cop that coupe for all my good niggas. I thank you. Good riddance, good business, good grief. What is it when we smoke marijuana for free? I'm addicted to the Henny. All of these bitches with me. I done been around the world. Pussy, never seen it. Fuck, never forgive me. Pussy, money and drugs. Marry nothing but
slipping. Bounce to my own, two to the beat. LSD by the sheet. My flow is part of the beat. I know it's hard to believe that you're part of the seed. Sometimes it's hard to breathe. On my knees, Reaper, please leave my soul at ease.
Ain't no question about this paper, my mind's on a different angle. Wish I could cop that coupe for all my good niggas, I thank you. Good riddance, good business, good grief. What is when we smoking marijuana for free? Ain't no question about this paper, my mind's on a different angle. Wish I could cop that coupe for all my good niggas, I thank you. Good riddance, good business, good grief. What is when we smoking marijuana for free?